Well, can't get him to get on the bed this morning, so we may or may not have a news hound depending on his mood. Everybody, it is Wednesday. It is hump day, even though everybody gets laid on the weekends. Wednesday is usually hump day, right? Middle of the week. We made it this far, we can make it to the rest of the week, right? Who am I saying good morning to this morning? We have Anilk, we have Wolf Girl, we have Liz, we have RPR, Janiac, I think I said that correctly, Mitch, and Casual Callie. Good morning. Well, there was a rally yesterday. Preliminary information is coming in, so I'm going to give you what I've got so far. And if things change, well, you know, I'll probably pull out a full report tomorrow. That way you guys have the whole story. If you hear him tippy-tapping in the background because of this lovely mic, it's because he has found bugs to track this morning. Moths and flying things. And, well, he's a dog, so they do that, right? Let me see if I've got Nightbot working or if he decided to go on strike this morning. You here yet? So, yeah, usually I don't like to report on breaking news, but everybody's looking for this. Yay, there's the Nightbot. And there's Zeus. Yay. All right. You're going to see him. Oh, he found a ball. So you're going to be seeing him play in the background. He may or may not be taking the spotlight today. But he sure is having fun. All right. Here we go. Let me shrink the camera. Let's see what we get to this morning. All right. We have weather news, since people requested it yesterday. There is the map. Here is the news. Risk. Oh, let me put on my eyeballs because holy crap, I can't see this print. Okay. Risk of wildfires, poor air quality to increase in western U.S. as heat builds. Temperatures will again be on the rise over much of the western United States and will raise the risk of wildfire ignition and poor air quality this weekend and early next week. Morning, Zeph. The upcoming surge of heat will not be as extreme as the heat wave of late July and early August, but will be noticeable given the more seasonable air of late, according to AccuWeather meteorologist Renee Duff. Following a push of cold air in parts of the Northwest into Thursday, highs will trend upward. This weekend, highs in the 90s Fahrenheit are projected for eastern Oregon and southern Idaho. Soon after, temperatures will approach 90 in Portland, that's Oregon, and 80 in Seattle. Heat will build over the southwest as well. Temperatures over the interior valleys of California will reach the triple digits this weekend, especially on Sunday, according to AccuWeather meteorologist Maggie Samuel. Excuse me. A light flow of air from the interior to the coast will also push temperatures upwards. High near 90s are forecasted for downtown Los Angeles this weekend. The pattern may limit the extent of morning low clouds to just the immediate beaches. So there is one report. All right, here we go. Morning, Wolfie. I'm going to open this up, and we're going to do the weather forecast.
Thanks for checking in as we take a look at the international coast-to-coast forecast. It has been a pretty active week this far. Of course, yesterday we dealt with the severe weather in the northeast, pretty widespread, and then of course on Monday we had the solar eclipse that stretched from Oregon all the way to South Carolina. Now,
let me start that over so you can hear it better.
Thanks for checking in as we take a look at the international coast-to-coast forecast. It has been a pretty active week this far. Of course, yesterday we were dealing with severe weather in the northeast, pretty widespread. And then, of course, on Monday we had the solar eclipse that stretched from Oregon all the way to South Carolina. Now, things are going to be calming down a little bit as we head through the end of the week. However, we're tracking the rain of Harvey, and that could have some big impacts on the Gulf Coast here. We're looking at some spotty severe weather concerns as well, and cooler by the end of August. So the remnants of Harvey. Harvey was a tropical storm last week in the Caribbean and has now made its way over the Yucatan Peninsula, moving back into some very warm waters of the Bay of Campeche and the Gulf of Mexico. Latest forecast models do suggest that this is going to be intensifying back into Harvey, and this is just one model, but the prediction on this particular model does suggest some intensification as it lifts northwest towards the coast of Texas. And again, some models will bring this back up to hurricane status. So watch this very closely as we head into the next several days. We're going to look at different models. Again, the consensus is that it goes right into Texas and then right back up into the Ohio Valley as we head into next week. So if you're in the Gulf Coast, make sure you are paying attention to winds forecasts. The National Hurricane Center is saying a high probability of tropical formation with that wave, and then a low probability with that particular wave. Kenneth also continues in the East Pacific, just as a tropical storm. All right, so some cooler air to settle on into the northeast quadrant of the nation. And it does appear that though by the end of the month in early September, that cooler air kind of settles in to the south central U.S. Look at all the wind damage reports that we had yesterday. Pretty widely scattered severe weather. Today, severe weather threat is just a marginal risk of the mid-Atlantic states. Turns into a marginal threat on the front range on the Thursday and Friday. At this point, looking pretty quiet. But pockets of heavy rain down to the south where whatever becomes with Harvey exists, but definitely cooler today in the northeast.
Nope, we're not doing that one yet. Shh. All right, first thing we've got is quick news. I teased you with it on Twitter for those of you that follow me on Twitter. Sportscaster pulled because of his name. I'm not making this up. You really can't make this up. Charlottesville and its aftermath, ESPN broadcaster Robert Lee was pulled off of the announcing team for the University of Virginia college football game. He will instead be reporting on the Youngstown State game at Pittsburgh. This is a direct quote from ESPN. Hi, Thraxy. ESPN says the decision to put Lee on another game was made collectively. It also says it's a shame that this is even a topic of conversation. So, somebody got put on a different venue. Yep, I know Thrax. All right, here we go. And that's that one. Now we can get into the actual news. And one picture here. Remember, this is a preliminary report. The stuff's been trickling in this morning, so I still have to correlate and back up the facts and make sure that, I've got all my facts straight before I do a full report. So, here we go. Preliminary report, Trump's Arizona rally. This is AP Phoenix. A day of noisy but largely peaceful protest of President Donald Trump's speech in Phoenix turned unruly as police fired pepper spray at crowds after someone apparently lobbed rocks and bottles at officers. A haze enveloped the night sky Tuesday as protesters and police clashed outside the convention center where Trump had just wrapped up his speech. People fled the scene coughing as an officer in a helicopter bellowed through a loudspeaker urging protesters to leave the area. Officers responded with pepper spray to break up the crowd after people tossed rocks and bottles and dispersed gas. Phoenix police spokesman Jonathan Howard said 4 people were arrested on charges related to the protest and 1 person was arrested on an unrelated warrant, Police Chief Jerry Williams said. 2 officers were treated for heat exhaustion, she said. The disturbance did not start until the speech had ended. A contingent of protesters stayed behind after the clash with police had ended. Their numbers were small. Authorities were on high alert as thousands of people lined up in the triple-digit heat to attend Trump's first political rally since the violence in Charlottesville, Virginia. Excuse me. Morning apostmatic. All right. Let me see here. Protesters filled the streets of downtown Phoenix and engaged in shouting matches and a few minor scuffles with Trump supporters, but those events were gradually peaceful. Police said there had been no arrests or major incidents. Local authorities were vigilant in the aftermath of the deadly protests in Virginia and the president's comments last week about both sides having blame for violence at the white supremacist rally. Mayor Greg Stanton had unsuccessfully called on the president to not hold the rally here so soon after the trouble in Charlottesville. He's the president. He does whatever the fuck he wants. A number of opposition signs showed drawings of or photos of Trump with small Hitler-style mustache. 3 Trump supporters taunted Latino protesters with offensive comments about immigrants and held anti-Muslim and Black Lives Matter signs. As the line to get in the venue moved ahead, the two groups shouted at each other and some skirmishes broke out. At one point, a Trump supporter and protester shoved each other. The outdoor temperature remained over 100 degrees as the rally began. Captain Rob McCade, spokesman for the Phoenix Fire Department, said that as of 6 p.m., they had treated 48 people for heat-related problems. Most of them were for dehydration. Of those, 2 were adult women who were taken to a hospital for further evaluation. State Democratic leaders urged people who wanted to show their opposition to the president's policies to gather at a city-designated free speech zone near the site of the rally. The message to protesters echoed those coming from law enforcement and Stanton. Stanton said he expects protesters to be civil, respectful, and peaceful. Right, civil, respectful, and peaceful. Williams, the police chief, said First Amendment rights will be supported, but criminal conduct will be swiftly addressed. It's been on a bucket list of mine since he became the president, said Kingman resident Diane Treon, who arrived at 4 a.m. I wish I had attended some of his campaign rallies before he became president, and I wanted to go to the inauguration, and truthfully, it was the protest that kept me away. Treon said she wishes protesters would be a little more peaceful instead of violently rioting, which is happening in so many places, but isn't overly worried. I had to go to It's Going Down's Twitter page, and they're sitting there saying, you know, that the police fired the tear gas, but they were not provoked into doing it, that they didn't do anything, that they were there being peaceful, and blah, 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 yada, yada, on and on. We know they're lying. I'm going to get to the bottom of it, and I'm going to give the whole story probably tomorrow. All right. The latest, which came out this morning, Phoenix Police Department says a 4th person was arrested on charges related to a protest after Donald Trump's speech at the Phoenix Convention Center had ended Tuesday night. Those 4 arrests plus 1 arrest of a person on an unrelated warrant bring the total number of arrests at the protest to 5. A contingent of protesters stayed behind after the clash with police ended. Their numbers were small. Yep. All right, so that's what's going on there. We'll close that out. I'm having a little bit of a problem with my voice this morning, so please hang in there with me. And yeah, I'm talking about Chubby Boy, because Chubby Boy is going to be in the news until we resolve this one way or the other, right? All right. North Korea presses rocket program, but amid signs of drama easing. This is out of Reuters, out of Seoul, Korea. South Korea. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has ordered more solid fuel rocket engines, state media reported on Wednesday, as he pursues nuclear and missile programs amid a standoff with Washington. But there were signs of tension easing. The report carried by the KCNA news agency lacked the traditionally robust threats against the United States after weeks of unbridled acrimony, and the U.S. President Donald Trump expressed optimism about a possible improvement in relations. I respect the fact that he is starting to respect us, Trump said of Kim at a raucous campaign rally in Phoenix, Arizona. And maybe, probably not, but maybe something positive can come about, he said. We can hope, but this is Kim Jong-un, and I'm sorry, but the wheel is turning, but the fucking hamster's dead. Kim was briefed about the process of manufacturing intercontinental ballistic missile, warhead tips, and solid fuel rocket engines during his tour of the Chemical Material Institute of the Academy of Defense Science. KCNA said, golly, boy, they love their long titles. He instructed the institute to produce more solid fuel rocket engines and rocket warhead tips by further expanding engine production process and the production capacity of rocket warhead tips and engine jets by carbon/carbon compound material, KCNA says. Meanwhile, South Korea and the United States are conducting an annual military exercise this week involving computer simulations of a war. The drills, which the North routinely describes as preparations for invasion, run until August 31st and included a civil defense exercise on Wednesday that saw traffic halted, movie screenings interrupted, and hundreds of thousands of people directed to underground shelters. The U.S. Treasury designated 6 Chinese-owned entities, 1 Russian, 1 North Korean, and 2 based in Singapore. They included an Namibia-based subsidiary of Chinese company and a Northern Korean entity operating in Namibia. And this is about, there's still some signs of tension between the U.S. and North Korea because of the sanctions, but I'm going to go through all that. And there's the Schlitz posting network, so I could probably think that's somebody on that account. So there's what we have there. The United States has long urged China to do more than rein in North Korea, which counts Beijing as its lone major ally. Data released on Wednesday showed China's trade with North Korea fell in July from a month earlier as a ban on coal purchases from its isolated neighbor slowed imports. The United States is technically still at war with the North because their 1950 to 1953 conflict ended in a truce, not a peace treaty. The North routinely says it will never give up its weapons program, saying they are necessary to counter U.S. hostility. Morning, Reaper. All right. Everybody seems to be confusing everybody this morning. Don't forget to check out the links that are periodically scrolling through the live chat. One is a tip jar. One is the link to my website where you can buy my jewelry and also go to my Cafe Press merch store. You can also hire me to transcribe videos and also translate from Spanish to English if there's something you wish to use in a video. Please DM me on Twitter or Discord for rates, and we can come up with some sort of agreement. I do custom pieces for jewelry if you are looking for something specific. Just DM me, and through conversations, I can get an idea of what you want and start on your order. Half needs to be paid up front and half when the item is finished. Good morning, Esoteric Drifter. Last story is Netanyahu to Putin. Iran's growing Syria's role. Iran's growing Syria role threatens Israel. Russian President Vladimir Putin welcomes Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Sochi, Russia today, the 23rd. Sochi, Russia, Reuters. Iran's growing role in Syria poses a threat to Israel, the Middle East, and the world, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told Russian President Vladimir Putin on Wednesday. Mr. President, with joint efforts, we are defeating Islamic State, and this is a very important thing. But the bad thing is that where the defeated Islamic State group vanishes, Iran is stepping in, Netanyahu told Putin during talks at a Russia's Black Sea resort of Sochi. We cannot forget for a single minute that Iran threatens every day to annihilate Israel, Netanyahu said. It, meaning Iran, arms terrorist organizations it sponsors and initiates terror. Netanyahu also said that Iran is already well on its way to controlling Iraq, Yemen, and to a large extent is already in practice and in control of Lebanon. Iran denies sponsoring terrorism, as they would normally do. Putin, in the part of the meeting to which reporters had access, did not address Netanyahu's remarks about Iran's role in Syria. Russia intervened in Syria on behalf of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in 2015, its forces fighting what it deems Islamist terrorists. Russia is acting in partnership with Iran and Lebanon's Hezbollah group, Israel's arch foes. In the past few months, Russia has been the main broker of de-escalation zones set up in Syria. Israel worries these zones will allow Iranian troops and Hezbollah forces to deploy in greater strength. Moscow urges its big power clout deters Iran or Hezbollah from opening a new front with Israel. In comments published last week, the chief of Israel's Air Force said Israel had struck suspected Hezbollah arms shipments in Syria around 100 times during the Syrian civil war, apparently without Russian interference and rarely drawing retaliation. So that's what's going on over there. Sounds like Putin. All right, and let's see our little NPR broadcast this morning.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Reuter Johnson. President Trump rallied supporters in Phoenix, Arizona last night. Cheers went up in the Phoenix Convention Center when the president renewed his promise to keep fighting for his policy agenda.
It is finally time to rebuild our country, to take care of our people, and to fight for the jobs our great American workers deserve. And that's what we're doing.
Outside the Phoenix Convention Center, counter-protesters suing supporters of President Trump as they left the rally. Michelle Morisco of member station KJCC reports earlier protests were largely peaceful, but after the president wrapped up his remarks, demonstrators clashed with police, throwing rocks and bottles.
Protesters were largely calm during the convention center across the street by barricades and dozens of police officers. The crowd began to move toward the city's capital. At that point, police said they came under attack. Police fired flashbang grenades and pepper balls at the crowd. People ran through the heavy fog and started screaming and others vomiting. One individual was injured and carried into a building. A police helicopter flew over the dispersing crowd. Watchers, one of them was leaving as the helicopter was overhead. I think that the spotlight is on Phoenix right now. We need all peoples to come together for NPR News. I'm Tim High School in Phoenix.
The U.S. Navy has removed one of its commanders after a series of collisions involving warships in Asia. Vice Admiral Joseph Aucoin was dismissed today after a crash between the USS John F. McCain and a merchant vessel east of Singapore on Monday. The Navy says his removal is due to a loss of confidence in his ability to command. Multiple arrest warrants have been issued for a white nationalist involved in violent demonstrations in Charlottesville, Virginia. NPR's Sarah McCannon reports he's facing 3 felony charges. Is prominently featured in a Vice News documentary about the events in Charlottesville. He can be heard espousing racist views and shrugging off the death of a woman who was killed when a car drove into a crowd of anti-racist counter-protesters.
And sadly, because our rivals are a bunch of stupid animals who don't pay attention, they couldn't just get out of the way of his car.
In an interview with the Associated Press, Campbell said he had pepper sprayed a counter-protester and did so in self-defense. And NPR News, Virginia Beach.
And that quote was taken out of context. And one of the people I am getting ready to shout out this morning also has a recommended video. So watch out for that. So here are our shout outs. First one on the list is Cog Grinder, with podcasts relating to things that are going on in this world, commentary and response videos. All in all, he has a fairly balanced channel, and it is very entertaining to watch or listen to, depending on if it's a podcast or not. EJ of a Cod, with only 24 subs, he is the new kid on the block, and he is the one that has the response video that I've recommended below in the description section. He's very entertaining. He is animated. Hypnogogic Monk, why doesn't this guy have more subs? His road rage videos where he yells while he's driving down the road, or at least ruminates, are very entertaining to listen to. Guy to watch. And last but not least, Mr. Sarcastic Fox has made it back from his break in fine order and fine fashion with a response video on his take on Charlottesville that just happened recently. So those are the shout outs for this morning. Those are the shout outs for this morning. So you guys go check those guys out. I will be tweeting their links after the show. In order to qualify for a shout out, you must have current content. In other words, content made within the last week. You must be active on Twitter, and you don't have to have a VidMe link, but it is handy because I do tweet that out as well, depending on if people want to follow you on VidMe as well as YouTube or not. So those are your shout outs. Let me see. This morning's oddity. Criminal, rather. Morning, Doubting Tommy. Police hunt suspected TV thief in I'm Broke Baby t-shirt. You can't make this up, y'all. You really can't make this up. Lee's Summit, Missouri. Police in suburban Kansas City are on the hunt for a man accused of stealing a TV while wearing a t-shirt with the phrase, I'm broke baby, on it. The Lee Summit Police Department says on its Facebook page Monday that yes, we realize his shirt is ironic. A photo on the page shows the man wearing the black and white shirt, a matching ball cap, and sunglasses. He's clutching a cell phone and what appears to be a shopping cart handle. The post says he's suspected of stealing the large TV from a retailer. It doesn't say when the theft occurred. The post has been shared more than 300 times and generated comments including, "Get a job, baby," and "The shirt says it all." Yes, because you're our guard dragon of the internet, Thraxy. And there he is in all of his glory. I'm broke, baby. You need to get a job, dude. Seriously, you need to get a job. Oh, my goodness. Some people. All right. Live streams tonight. There's a scheduled live stream, as always. It's Wednesday, so we have Quiplash Cancer stream on the Live Zeph Streams channel at 9-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time. She tries to start on time. Doesn't always work, but we love her anyway. That's our Liz. Nachi Free has invited me to talk about Cuba, Castro, and ethnicity at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please check that out on Nachi Free's channel. It won't be on mine. It'll be on his. And the link is also below in the description. As always, you can support me by hitting the tip jar that randomly floats through the live chat, clicking on my website, placing an order for jewelry, or buying the jewelry that is already available. The Dragon's Den is open if you want to do a special order for a chainmail dragon. You can also become a sponsor or a patron. And on that note, my friends, yeah, I know, he's been hopping around all over the place, Mitch. On that note, my friends, may your coffee ever flow, may your caffeine be ever strong, and may you have an absolutely wacky yet wonderful Wednesday. See you guys in Discord.